Can you beat Terraria with 1 HP? Today, we are challenging ourselves to beat Terraria. However, we only have 1 HP. If we run into a thorn bush, we die. If a slime grazes us, we die. I have a feeling this is going to be extremely difficult. Jumping into Terraria, we created our character and the world. To make things even worse, we are doing this in master mode. Loading into the new world, I was immediately reminded of having 1 HP. You may have noticed, to make it possible to have 1 HP, we are playing with a few mods installed, such as exhaust 1 HP and a couple mods to allow us to focus more on beating the game and not have to worry about grinding to the extreme. Getting started in our brand new world, we built an easy starting base to make sure we are safe. We then immediately started mining and creating our elevator by bombing our way through the caverns, blowing us up in the process. As I returned to the surface, we started constructing compact NPC housing so we wouldn't have to wait for them in the future. Finishing up the NPC housing, we made our way back into the caverns and continued to mine our elevator, collecting any ores we can along the way, until a giant worm decided it would be really cool to turn us into lawn pigs. With this Terraria challenge, I'm trying a new style of video making, so if you enjoy it, like the video to let me know you want to see more. And since you're already here, why not subscribe? At the surface, we turned all of the ore we collected into bars and made ourselves an iron pickaxe. Exploring to the left of the world, we passed through our desert and found 2 large trees and got eviscerated by a gnome. Oh god, it's fast. Before building more NPC housing and returning to the cavern to mine gold and potentially find Hermes boots, since movement speed is going to be incredibly important considering we can't get hit at all. In the caves, after expertly dodging a boulder, we almost died to a boulder there. We found an underground house with a gold chest. Inside the chest, we got a bunch of completely useless garbage. One thing was clear though, we needed a hook, since moving through the caverns is extremely difficult. So we collected a bunch of amethysts, then once again, we died to a giant worm. Back at the surface, we made ourselves an amethyst hook, armor, and an emerald staff, which crazily was mythical. We are making steady progress. However, remember how I said I made some armor? Well, not soon after, a slime turned us into a slushie, and I came to a grim realization that even if we are wearing armor, we still die to a single hit. Let me explain. So let's say a zombie in pre-hard mode master mode deals 42 damage. If we have 10 defense, the amount of damage the zombie would deal is 42 minus 10 equaling 32 damage. If you are paying attention, you may have noticed that 32 damage is a lot larger than our meager 1 HP. This means no matter what, we are always going to be one shot. On the bright side, the demolitionist moved in, with Mario the painter whispering into our ear,
"Can I get a new house?"
"No, Mario, you can't, alright? You already have a skylight." Back in the caverns, we mined for more gold, and we came across a rather suspiciously large area of gold. No, it was a bomb! Returning to the caverns once again, we didn't bounce. Gearing up with a gold pickaxe, we continued to mine our elevator and found an enemy that is even worse than giant worms. Wall creepers. Let me tell you, these spiders magically appear to ruin your life after a long, epic mining session. We returned to the surface and crafted a demon bow. Speaking of another challenge, torpedo skeletons. I can't even do anything to avoid that. Spawning in after being nuked, we nuked our house. Oh, fuck me. I did not just do that. After dying over and over again, a blood moon spawned. After surviving the blood moon, we finally completed our elevator. Then, we're immediately nuked by another flying torpedo skeleton. Deciding to start building our Eye of Cthulhu arena, we began terraforming our world and smoothing it out. After a while of endlessly digging dirt, it was becoming evident that this was extremely inefficient, so I decided to kill myself over and over again. You may be like, why would you want to kill yourself over and over again? Well, with enough gravestones, we can create a graveyard biome and craft ourselves the graveyard shovel. However, the world had other ideas and spawned a blood moon. After dying, and I mean dying so much, we crafted the gravedigger shovel. While cleaning up gravestones, we were met with an interesting surprise. As the Eye of Cthulhu spawned in, I was confident that we would at least deal some damage with our grenades, but it didn't take more than 10 seconds for us to die. With this, I was finally convinced that fighting the Eye of Cthulhu was going to be a massive pain in my ass. Returning to digging dirt, the gravedigger shovel was an incredible investment. I can't stress enough that if you plan on terraforming your Terraria world, get the gravedigger shovel because it is an actual godsend. Once the dirt was out of the way, we started constructing the arena. Finishing constructing the arena, it was time to tackle our biggest issue. We required Hermes boots, since if we wanted to avoid any of the boss's attacks, we would need to be fast. So the search for Hermes boots began, and little did I know, it would take forever. Searching, then dying, then searching, then dying some more, followed by, can you guess? That's right, more searching and then dying. We went to the jungle and searched there. However, it was shortly lived since a bee decided it would be so funny to sting us. Switching directions, and I mean switching directions literally. We decided to search the snow biome and bombed our way through. After a little searching, we found an underground house with an ice chest, and inside was a snow cannon. I mean, it's useless, completely useless to us, but I just felt like pointing it out. Then no more than 5 minutes later, we found another chest, and inside was a legendary ice blade. The world must be repaying us with amazing luck, since we die constantly. Speaking of constantly dying, we jumped on an explosive and were sent to Terraria heaven. Just kidding, we're still in hell. With the gravitation potion, we floated our way up to the floating islands. However, a Harpy flying in at Mach 1 ended those ambitions. Making our way up using rope to another sky island. Inside the chest, we found a lucky horseshoe. Fall damage is no longer an issue. Thank God. I no longer explode upon impact. However, returning to the jungle to continue our endless search for Hermes boots, we slightly touched a thorn, and can you guess what happened? That's right, we exploded. Let me tell you. We searched for hours to find the Hermes boots, repeatedly dying and searching and dying. Bombing our way through any obstacles, we found the Anklet of Wind. We also found some feral claws. After another eternity of searching for the Hermes boots, I was getting a little annoyed. Oh, I just need Hermes boots! Then, just like that, less than 300 blocks away from where we previously died in the snow biome, we found Flurry boots, and I was so happy. Yo, let's fucking go! We got Flurry boots! Yes! And not just one pair of Flurry boots, we found two. Two pairs after it took a literal fucking century. Now that we acquired Flurry boots, we needed the goblin army to spawn in so we could get the goblin tinkerer and combine our Hermes boots into lightning boots. So we traveled to the corruption and destroyed an orb. However, we exploded ourselves. So we went back and grabbed the musket to get the gunslinger. After we built some more extremely spacious NPC housing for the gunslinger NPC, he quickly spawned in. However, after checking how expensive the mini shark is, we had a serious problem. Since our finances aren't looking so good, and the mini shark is a whopping 35 gold. We needed money, and I also wanted the fossil armor for increased range damage, so after exploring the underground desert, I quit because it is a death trap. Seriously, everything kills us, from the feral ants to sand. Frickin' sand! A goblin army then spawned in, and even though we died, and when I say died, I mean like a frickin' bazillion times, cause the purple balls of death and arrows seemingly hit us every time. I then spent what felt like an eternity cleaning up gravestones, you know, since we died over 1,000 times. Now that the goblin army was defeated, it was time to find the goblin tinkerer and craft some lightning boots. So descending into the caverns, I swear it took no longer than 3 minutes to find the goblin tinkerer. So we purchased the rocket boots, but since we're broke as fuck, I had to sell a kidney before returning and purchasing the tinkerer's workbench. We then quickly crafted and achieved the lightning boots. Things were looking up, or so I thought. Now that we had achieved the lightning boots, I figured it was about time to defeat the Eye of Cthulhu, so gearing up with some potions, needless to say, I was pretty nervous. Okay, I'm fucking terrified. So we summoned the Eye of Cthulhu, and it was going well. I was feeling confident until a firing squad of mini Cthulhus were like,
"Hey, can we eat you?"
No.
Welp, too bad.
And turned my brain into jam. Frickin' jam. So, back at square one, can you guess what I decided to do? That's right. If you guessed increase the length of the platform while dying repeatedly, you are correct. To sum it all up rather quickly, I was going insane around this point, and finding a gold rabbit did not help my money fiending tendencies. Oh my god, that's a gold bunny. That's a gold bunny. That's a gold bunny. After constructing our new arena, which has to be long enough now, right? No. We turned our attention towards killing the king slime and acquiring the slime mount, since that would give us a crazy advantage against the Eye of Cthulhu. So taking out our anger on the local wildlife, we went in search of more gel because I thought we didn't have enough. However, I found out that now it only takes 20 gel, so that was good to know. But before we figured out that fact, we went in search of ice slimes for gel, and along the way died to a wall creeper. Remember how I said they seemingly randomly appear out of nowhere? Yep, somehow in the freezing cold underground ice biome, nowhere near a spider's nest. It was just chilling, waiting to eat my flesh. Preparing our rubies and gel, we left to the corruption to find an altar and crafted the slime crown. With our buffs prepared, it was time to defeat our first boss of the challenge. So we summoned him in, and he despawned. That slimy bastard ran away. Take 2. The giant arena we created made it super easy to dodge and avoid the King Slime's attacks. However, stairs would turn out to be our downfall as we kamikazed into his gelatinous fat ass. Take 3. Heck yeah! Oh, and I died. We killed him and immediately died. That's funny. Successfully, we had defeated our first boss without getting hit. Sadly, we did not get the slime mount, so we had to fight him again. Opening up the treasure bag, we acquired the slime mount, and it was time to fight the Eye of Cthulhu. So without hesitation, we summoned the Eye of Cthulhu, and the slime mount worked amazingly. As he entered his second phase, we'd have to run like hell or instantly die. We were doing great. However, we ran out of arrows, so we had to use the Ice Blade. Our fucking Ice Blade. And as anticipated, the Eye of Cthulhu severed my head from my torso. This also made it extremely apparent to me that we were not fast enough, since the Eye of Cthulhu goes absolute beast mode and absolute fucking insane with his last 500 HP. Crafting more arrows, we summoned him for the second time and used the slime mount to jump directly into his bloodshot ass. Using our last Eye of Cthulhu spawner, he would have been defeated, but the stairs, once again, had another idea, and he snapped our neck like a goddamn twig. The issue at hand was our platform was not long enough, so to increase the length of the arena, I removed the mountain. I then expanded the arena, a lot. Fighting the Eye of Cthulhu again with the expanded arena, we were easily able to outrun him, until we dropped his HP below 100 and he started moving faster than the speed of fucking sound, decapitating our lifeless ass. I knew we could defeat the Eye of Cthulhu, and this time I had a plan. Preparing a Thorns potion, Swiftness potion, and an Inferno potion, as well as grenades for his final phase. We summoned him in and let the battle begin. With 6 HP, the Eye of Cthulhu ripped the flesh off our bones, but the Thorns potion came in clutch, and we finally killed the Eye of Cthulhu. Yes! The Thorns got him! I knew that was gonna work! Woo! We did it! We beat Eye of Cthulhu! Let's go! Whew, that was hard. That was really hard. We had acquired the Shield of Cthulhu, my favorite accessory and the most important accessory in the game, since it allowed us to dodge. It was now time to defeat the Eater of Worlds. So once again, we increased the arena to reach the corruption. Let me tell you, I hate Eater of Souls. Those little rat bastards somehow managed to hit me every time. Exploring past the corruption, we found the Skeltron dungeon and stole a water candle. Back at the base, we built even more housing for NPCs. Returning to the corruption, it was time to build the way we are going to defeat the Eater of Worlds. So roping our way up until we can't see the ground, we then rope up another 75 blocks, create a small platform, and place 30 boulders up. Now that we had the trap created, all that was left was to create the worm food and summon the Eater of Worlds. We had to lower the platform so we were just at the edge of the corruption, and the trap was ready to go. Well, the trap didn't exactly work how I imagined, and I failed to kill the Eater of Worlds, but on the bright side, we received enough scales to craft the Shadow Pickaxe. We technically didn't need to defeat the Eater of Worlds, but don't worry, we'll kill him later. Now that we acquired the Shadow Pickaxe, we slurped down an Obsidian Skin Potion and plunged into sizzling hot lava for Hellstone. Back at the base, we crafted Molten Bars. We then acquired the Hellstone Pick, Molten Fury, and Imstaff before returning to Hell and mining even more Hellstone, before crafting the Volcano and Molten Armor, because why not? And the cherry on top, Molten Arrows that deal an incredible amount of damage in pre-hard mode. It was time to defeat Skeltron, and let me tell you, it does not go well. However, before we can defeat Skeltron, we need to create, once again, another arena. It was also around this time, I remembered that before we even started this challenge, I installed a mod that allowed us to craft Instabridges or arenas, but I neglected to remember this fact earlier and built the entire arena by hand. So yeah, kill me. We had one big issue, or should I say, one big mountain in our way. So we bombed the ever-living crap out of it. We had a smooth, flat surface and could finish the arena. So we tested out the Instabridge mod. After easily building the arena, it made me question my sanity and the endless hours I spent placing platforms. However, we quickly finished the Skeltron arena. Though, I was extremely tired of running across the entire world, so we constructed a spawn point. I was curious how expensive the mini shark was, and dear God. So on our way back to create new NPC housing for the Nurse and Gunslinger, we built a spawn point at the Corruption, quickly building some god tier housing for the Gunslinger and Nurse. We sold our gems and purchased the mini shark and the forest pylon. Since it was night and we were at the dungeon, we decided why not try to defeat Skeltron. In the desert near our base, we constructed more god tier housing and successfully set up our desert pylon. We could now teleport to the dungeon with ease. With nothing left to do, it was time to defeat Skeltron. So we prepared our buffs, traveled to the arena, and patiently waited to spawn him in. Like a fly, Skeltron swatted us with ease. He bitch slapped us so hard that our ancestors felt the disrespect. So what did we do? We entered the dungeon anyway. No one can stop me, not even the dungeon guardian. With a new plan in mind, we descended into the caverns. But I'm just gonna skip over all of that, cause it was a complete waste of time, since it failed miserably, and Skeltron spanked our ass. So with a new plan that would certainly work, right? We kidnapped, I meant gently rescued a bunch of rabbits and strapped dynamite to their back. Encapsulating the old man in a pillar of wood, we released the 14 rabbits waiting to cause a new act of terrorism. Like this, we beat Skeltron. And fucking exploded. It was time to go back to the drawing board. In the caverns, we collected cobwebs and turned it into silk. We were going to craft the obsidian robes, however, we sold all of our shadow scales, so it was time we actually defeated the Eater of Worlds. So traveling to the ocean on the right side of our world, we constructed the trap we previously used to fight the Eater of Worlds, with the exception that we placed 300 ebstone to turn the area into a corruption biome, and at the same time, we built even more god tier housing. Building 30 boulders up, the trap was set and ready to go. However, I thought I might have miscounted the boulders, so while I was recounting them, I accidentally hit a boulder and killed myself. So after traveling all the way back, the trap was ready to go. Just like that, we had defeated the Eater of Worlds and collected more shadow scales. This would also turn out to be a really easy way to farm money that would come in handy later. With our newly acquired shadow scales, we crafted the obsidian armor and had one more summon that would help us deal damage. Removing a small bit of the dungeon so it doesn't get in our way, we were prepared to fight Skeltron. Focusing on Skeltron's hand, we evaded his attacks and dealt a good amount of damage, but when he came in for a hug, not only did he spank our ass for the second time, he also tore us in half. With newfound confidence, we geared up for our next fight and purchased potions from the Alchemist NPC, and since we defeated the Eater of Worlds, he now sold Rage and Wrath potions. While waiting for the next night, I left to get some food and apparently a meteorite landed, so I guess I just have an undiscovered meteorite somewhere in the world. That's good to know. Back at the dungeon, we attempted to defeat Skeltron again for what feels like the 1000th time. Placing explosive rabbits on the arena, we almost managed to defeat one of his hands. However, dodging into one of his attacks to negate the damage, we flew directly into his thick fucking skull. So after sleeping until the next night, we tried again. Remember that newfound confidence I was talking about? Yeah, well on the next attempt, he straight up just summoned on top of us. Let's just say any confidence I was feeling was immediately replaced with pure fucking rage. So I can't beat this dude. I know I'm gonna get pissed doing this, so we're just gonna skip right to Wall of Flesh, get into hard mode, get a better weapon, and then kill him. Yep, you heard right. Instead of defeating Skeltron, we are going to defeat the Wall of Flesh, an even harder boss. Then once we are in hard mode with better weapons, we'll go back and defeat Skeltron, as well as Queen Bee, just because there's no chance in hell I'm fighting the Queen Bee right now. In hell, we began constructing the Wall of Flesh arena, but we quickly died, so we decided to build a spawn point in hell. Once we finished constructing the house, we continued to build the Wall of Flesh arena. Once the Wall of Flesh arena was long enough, we returned to the surface and purchased dynamite from the demolitionist. Now that we had dynamite, we constructed a house in hell for the guide. Since you're probably wondering, we are using dynamite to defeat the Wall of Flesh because we only have 1 HP. The longer the Wall of Flesh fight continues, the higher the chance we'll die, so we'll have to defeat it as fast as possible. This is where dynamite comes in, since it is a speedrun strategy that can quickly defeat the Wall of Flesh. Since we were low on dynamite, we went and killed the Eater of Worlds for more gold. And another meteorite landed next to our base, so we collected the meteorite. After building another house for the guide, we dropped him into lava to summon the Wall of Flesh. And once again, he spawned on the wrong side of the goddamn arena. After dying, I discovered that if you want the Wall of Flesh to summon on a particular side of the world, you have to summon it past the center of the world on the side you want him to spawn. So after constructing a new house for the guide, we deactivated autosave and saved the game to create a save point just before the Wall of Flesh. This would allow us to try and defeat the Wall of Flesh repeatedly. With everything ready to go, we tossed the guide into the lava.
Oh hey, how's it going?
And immediately died to the Wall of Flesh. Pressing Alt F4, we restarted back at our save point. The dynamite dealt massive damage and the strategy was working fantastically. Up until I ran into a wall and exploded. In hindsight, I really should have equipped an obsidian skull. This attempt also made me realize 2 major flaws in my plan, his laser beams and worm. However, I wouldn't do anything to solve these issues until after we died. Around this point, I was low on dynamite, so I murdered the Eater of Worlds a couple of times, and purchased enough dynamite to end the bloody world. Attempting the Wall of Flesh again, I was succulently lasered into a pile of smoldering flesh. His lasers were a massive issue, so we constructed wood pillars with doors that would block his laser beams and allow us to freely move throughout our arena. After we finished building the wooden pillars, we fought the Wall of Flesh again. With the pillars, his laser beams were no longer a problem. With every attempt, we got closer to defeating the Wall of Flesh. However, every so often an enemy would spawn in the arena, and this would happen. We finally had the perfect run. We dropped the Wall of Flesh health below 1000 HP. Just when it was looking like we were going to defeat him, the Wall of Flesh decided, why shoot only 4 lasers when I can shoot 1000? And I took about 13 lasers up the ass. We summoned the Wall of Flesh, perfectly spacing out our dynamite. We quickly dealt massive damage to the Wall of Flesh. Once we got him below 4000 HP, out of pure adrenaline and fear, we started spam throwing dynamite. And then it happened. We did it. That's the wall of flesh defeated, baby. Now we're in hard mode. With 1 HP and without being hit. Right as we died, we finally defeated the wall of flesh. We were officially in hard mode. Traveling through hell, we passed the absolute carnage the dynamite caused and claimed our loot. Returning to the surface after spending an eternity in hell, with 1 HP without being able to take a single point of damage, we reached hard mode. From here on, I have a feeling the challenge is only going to become more difficult. And oh, we are so screwed. On the bright side, now that we're in hard mode, we'll absolutely spank Skeltron's ass. So if you are excited to watch us crawl our way through hard mode as every boss humiliates us, like and subscribe so you're notified. I'll see you in part 2.